This is for Verts. I'm Harrison Graham. Today's NFL news. There's a major Buccaneers injury that we need to discuss. Are the Cincinnati Bengals ready to extend Trey Hendrickson? A little bit of an update there. Is Dak Prescott fully ready for Cowboys training camp? And Kirk Cousins says he felt misled by the Atlanta Falcons. We discuss it all here on today's show. Let's get to Tristan Wirfs. It was revealed and reported today that he recently had surgery on his right knee and that he will not be ready to go for week one. So he's going to miss all of training camp, going to miss the start of the season. How many games is he going to miss? That's a little bit unclear. Ari Meirov had a little note here that there's a possibility that he could start the season on the PUP list, which of course would free up a roster spot for Tampa. But if you start on PUP, that guarantees that you have to miss at least the first 4 games of the season. Against Atlanta, probably their biggest challenge in the NFC South, so that's significant. Houston, a pretty good team. The Jets and the Eagles. I like Tampa a lot. I think they're going to be a really good team this year, but if you miss Tristan Wirfs the first month, you're probably saying, hey, let's just sign up for 2-2 and get out of there and get him back, because that's not exactly the easiest way to start the season. I think that's pretty significant. If they concede that he's got to go on PUP, again, that's a minimum of 4 games, and who knows, could be longer. You're talking about a knee injury, knee surgery for a 6'5", 320-pound offensive lineman. If they're saying he's going to be back in 2 months, that might be more like 3. So definitely something to monitor here in a division that I think they're pretty clearly the best team in. I know there's some Atlanta hype again. We fell for that last year. I'm not really buying it. I do think they're talented, and if this Wirfs thing is significant, if they can win that early head-to-head with Tampa, that certainly helps. They swept Tampa last year, and the Bucs still won the division. Not buying Carolina yet. I still think they're a year or 2 away, and I think New Orleans is horrible. So I don't think this is a death sentence for Tampa, but I do think it could make it a little bit more difficult. Like, what if they start 1-3 out of the gates? If he misses the first 4 games, got to play some catch-up, but still think they are clear favorites in the South. But if you're Atlanta, got to be licking your chops week 1 and take advantage of that opportunity to take down Tampa Bay without arguably their best overall player on the team. That's how good of an offensive lineman and offensive tackle Tristan Wirfs is. Okay, let's go to Cincinnati now. Are the Bengals ready to extend Trey Hendrickson? A report yesterday that Cincinnati did not get trade offers that they liked, and now the hope is to just get a deal done. This coming from our friend on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Ricky, Slick Rick Scoops, and if you think this is a meme, it's not. This guy's had a lot of scoops and a lot of good information this offseason. He said, 2 weeks ago, I heard the Bengals and Trey were still far apart. Bengals gave him a deadline in the spring to find a trade, but the team didn't like the offers. The deadline passed, and I doubt he'll be moved. He will be extended. No idea when. Very helpful tweet. #WhoDay. My guess is Cincinnati wanted at least a first-round pick, and that wasn't on the table. Not because Trey Hendrickson in a vacuum isn't worth a first-round pick, but I think teams hesitate to give a first and then pay a player premium money, and that's what it's going to cost, right? And that's what Trey Hendrickson's worth. He wants north of $30 million per year, probably more like 32 to 35 on a 2 to 4-year extension. He wants multiple years of guaranteed money. That is something that Jeremy Fowler has reported via ESPN. And when you look at the highest paid guys, I don't think he's naive. I don't think he wants Myles Garrett money. I don't think he wants what TJ Watt's going to get, but he probably looks at Danielle Hunter and says, I'm just as good, if not better. Now, the point I've made with Hunter is that was a 1-year extension. So Hendrickson wanting 35, 36 on a multi-year extension, I probably wouldn't do that either. But I'd probably, meet him halfway. The reported offer has been 28 per year. He probably wants 35, 36. Hey, 3 for 100, which is 33 and change per year. Let's call it 80 guaranteed. I think that's a good compromise for both sides. So it'll be interesting to see who bends the knee here. Does Trey Hendrickson show up to camp in good faith and at least hold in, at least be around the guys? We'll see. He's been pretty firm this offseason that he will not play this year out without a new deal. He's not going to play for $16 million. And he shouldn't. He's worth double that. So I wouldn't play either if I were him. I wouldn't advise him to play if I was his agent. A year ago, he played it out when he honestly probably should have gotten a deal then. Would have been a lot cheaper for Cincinnati, by the way. They didn't do it. And the question is, does he settle for like 29, 30 per year instead of like 32, 33, 34? That's what's going to be interesting. But I still think he has more leverage than them. Why? Because it's a critical year for Zach Taylor, who potentially could be on the hot seat. That defense is already not very good, so without him, they're in major trouble. Oh, and by the way, the Shamar Stewart situation has not been resolved either. He has yet to practice after being drafted in the first round by the Bengals 3 months ago. So will the Bengals pay Trey Hendrickson? Do they get this done? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I guess it's leaning more in that direction than a trade at this point. Rickie's been pretty all over it, but I'm not sure anything's changed from Hendrickson's camp. Like, unless the Bengals have upped their offers, I don't think he's just going to take some discount all of a sudden. Okay, Dak Prescott seems to be ready to go. He told reporters he's a full go for camp, said he just needs one final sign-off from doctors, but that is expected to come in the coming days and weeks. He had a nasty hamstring injury last year. The hamstring was off the bone. Talk about painful. That doesn't sound fun at all. And look, we did a video on this yesterday. I'll talk about it a little bit more here. When Dak Prescott is healthy, Dallas is a good team historically. Now, he wasn't having his best year last year. They were 3-5 before he went down with the injury, but he is 76-46 as a starter. We can all make fun of the Cowboys, and there's plenty to do so, especially with their playoff shortcomings, and Dak certainly hasn't been a good playoff performer. But in the regular season, they are a 10-12 win team more often than not when he is under center. So I think they're going to surprise some people. I think people just assume it's Philly and Washington, and Dallas and New York are at the bottom of that division. I could see Dallas competing for the division. I could see them being a wild card team. Why? Because that's what they've been when Dak's been healthy. That over about a decade now, that is what they have been. And also, you've got George Pickens in the fold now, which is obviously an interesting addition. He was asked about, kind of that, inner competition between him and CeeDee Lamb. He said they love each other. That's two guys who want the other to succeed just as much. That is literally the best part about those two men, seeing firsthand these guys hanging out. To be that guy to get them the ball, it's exciting as hell. Look, I expect this to be one of the best passing attacks in the league. Now, the running game, I have questions about. Will the offensive line be better this year? I like the Tyler Booker draft pick. Tyler Guyton at left tackle, I have questions there. I think they need a plan B if that doesn't work out. And then the defense, I think there's potential there, but Trayvon Diggs isn't going to be ready to start the season. Neither is Marvion Overshown, two other key players in the back seven. But I think Dak in the passing attack is going to put up numbers and going to put up points. Can the complementary parts of the team do their part? If they do, like I said, they're probably a team at the worst that wins 8 games and potentially wins 10 or 11. So I think Dallas is going to be good. And I think, like I said yesterday on this video right here, subscribe and go check it out. For maybe the first time in my life, Dallas is being overlooked, under-talked about. Every year, this is the year they win the Super Bowl, NFC Championship, and I don't think anyone should say that. That would be ridiculous because I just don't think they're good enough. The Schottenheimer thing, I think there's a lot of weird stuff going on, but I think Dak is a stable presence for that team, and again, if he's healthy and plays, they're going to be in the mix to at least contend for a playoff spot. Okay, Kirk Cousins, season 2 of quarterback has dropped. I have not actually had a chance to watch it yet, but I've seen some of the clips, I've seen some of the quotes, and not surprising. You kind of knew that this was going to be a part of it with, the drafting Michael Penix angle, Kirk Cousins getting banged up again, getting benched, all that stuff. And he basically revealed that he felt like he was misled by Atlanta and their intentions when he signed there. And he said, certainly if I had the information around free agency, it certainly would have affected my decision. I had no reason to leave Minnesota with how much we loved it there if both teams are going to be drafting a quarterback high, because it was reported at the time that Minnesota told them, hey, we'd like to have you back, but we will take a quarterback in the first round if given the opportunity. Obviously, they took J.J. McCarthy. He also added, but I've learned in 12 years in this league that you're not entitled to anything. It's all about being able to earn your spot and prove yourself. And I do just want to say this. Kirk Cousins has handled this for the most part pretty well. He's showed up. He's in the building. He's supporting Michael Penix. So kudos on that. But he loses me a little bit when he said, I had no reason to leave Minnesota if both teams were going to draft a quarterback. Had Atlanta told me that, I wouldn't have signed there. Really? Because they offered you $100 million guaranteed. Minnesota was going to give you a 1 or a 2 year deal. So I get what he's saying to an extent, and I buy completely that he loved Minnesota. Like, he still has his house there. He was there for 6 years. His family liked it there. Like, I'm not disputing that part of it, but the money part of this, and if you followed Kirk Cousins' career closely, he's a bad guy. Like, he not BAD, BAG. Like, he cashes in. He like embraced being the franchise tag guy. Oh, $30 million guaranteed no matter what this year? Sweet. I'll do that year to year for a couple of years. Like, he has made over $350 million in his career. So if Minnesota on a 1 or 2 year deal was going to give him like 30 to 50 million guaranteed and Atlanta 100 million guaranteed, even if the Falcons were like, yeah, we could draft a quarterback in the first round, history tells us he probably still would have gone there because he has chased top dollar throughout his career, which is his prerogative. But I'm not saying he's playing the victim card because, again, I think for the most part he's handled this well. And by the way, I don't even want to defend the Falcons here, really, because if they could go back, they clearly wouldn't have done this. But I do think it's a little rich for me when it's like, I had no reason to leave Minnesota. Really? You had 100 million reasons to. And by the way, not that he's a competitor, he wants to play and all that, and I respect it, but does anyone have a better job than Kirk Cousins right now? He's completing his 100 million guaranteed this year to be the backup. Pretty sweet gig. Pretty sweet gig. And look, the Falcons' big mistake was not drafting Michael Penix, was not falling in love with him and choosing him. If you fall in love with the quarterback and you need a long-term answer there, you should draft one if he's available. That's what every team should do. But the problem is they gave Kirk $100 million guaranteed with probably an unclear diagnosis of his injury status coming off the Achilles. Then he bangs up the elbow. He's already an old, unathletic guy. I think the lesson here is you probably shouldn't give a quarterback a 4-year deal with more than 2 years of it guaranteed if he's an unathletic pocket passer coming off an Achilles. Like, that's like Rodgers is one thing, which first of all, he didn't tear it with the Jets until after they signed him, but like he had more athleticism, a much bigger arm than Kirk. Like that's different. And by the way, that hasn't even worked out. So, yeah, I think that was the mistake, not necessarily drafting Michael Penix. Okay, will Kirk Cousins start somewhere this year? Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. I don't really know, man. If there's a notable injury in training camp for a decent team at quarterback, I think that'll be a storyline to monitor. Does that team trade for Kirk Cousins? For sure. But if that doesn't happen, I mean, Atlanta seems pretty happy to just keep him as an expensive backup this year. And who knows, what if Penix plays terrible? Is there a world where they would go back to Kirk Cousins? Maybe. It's going to be very, very interesting to see. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of 4Verts. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Check out our Instagram page as well, at 4VertsIG, posting short-form content over there. We would appreciate that, and we'll see you guys soon.